Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. First time viewers, welcome. I'll be discussing bullet seating, how to do it better. And what I have here to show you is a powder charge in a 45 ACP shell. And this is a 45 ACP full metal jacket, 230 grain. And we have the Lee hand press. And then you have to also have shell holders with it. In Hernati, next generation, correction, I believe it's a new generation seating die, and micro adjust accessory that turns the seating die into a competition die. What that means is you have a better idea of how deep you're setting your bullets because it's set up like a micrometer. You got a little line in there with increments. Just like that. And you got this spool that has increments on it. It's hard to read, so you might want to have your reading glasses if you use this type of thing. You don't have to use it, it just makes it easier. The die will actually have its own, top adjustment feature that locks down on a rubber seal, O-ring, what have you, to keep it from moving. So, if you're really picky and you need something more than just guesswork, this is a really good accessory that goes into the new generation die. And what makes this particularly unique and helpful, if you don't want to throw a lot of money down on like a real high-end die, is this sleeve right here. And there's two parts that float in the seating die. You have this one that rides on the outside of the shell. And then you have the internal. See it move? The internal that smashes the bullet down into the shell. So we have two parts here that float. See this? Whoop. There we go. It helps align the shell and the projectile. So what ends up happening is the case mouth doesn't shear on the bullet shank. The bullet shank is the outside diameter leading up to the, I think it's called a lot of people call it the nose, but that's not correct. I think it's called an ogive or oglive, something like that. Terminology is not important. If you worry about the lingo, you're probably going to end up reading a lot of books and not getting stuff done. And this stuff typically isn't taught in books. There's a lot of mystique in reloading, and everybody has different techniques, but it can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And so we have a press here. If we do that, put the stuff in there and run it up like that, what ends up happening is we've got mass in motion and we have powder in there. So when it comes to an abrupt stop, or if you stop short, it's going to throw the powder up. It's going to go everywhere. You're going to spill your load. Charge. All right, so that's not what you want to do, because you want all of the gunpowder to stay in the shell during the seating process and not slam up against the bullet and spill from the side of the case mouth and get all over your press, and you end up with a dangerous situation where you could get a squib. So we don't want that. We want constant results each and every time. So we're going to take our shell, and when you're working with shell holders, that's this little piece right here, you want to face it in a way where locks the shell in place so it doesn't get away. By lock, I mean you don't want it to fall out. And if you put this facing you instead of here, where if it does travel a little bit, well, I suppose it could get out. You just, whatever you do, you just don't want this thing to slip out of that shell holder and spill. Whatever you do. So that's why I turned it on its side. So we have our powder charge. Whoa, we're moving. Do you see that? That's what I'm talking about. When you use a hand press, that's something you have to always be concerned about. So you want to tilt it a little bit, but not enough to cause the powder to spill out. And we have the outer sleeve here. That's going to act like a sheath. Make sure I don't have any oil on my fingers. You do not want to load any oil into that shell. So we're going to hold the nose of the bullet. We'll put her right there. I'll push her down a little bit. Get her to stay put. If she'll stay put. I don't think she will. It's not quite fully. There we go. It's not perfect. It's at a slight angle. Don't worry about it, because this is what will happen. We're going to move the arm up, cause the bullet to go into the sleeve. Just like that. You can see it's in the sleeve. When this goes up, I don't think it's going to show you. We can see the sleeve moving. It's not moving completely down. Here, let me park this guy. It's not moving completely down over the shell. Shell is here. It's because the bullet's not centered yet. It's centering it in the sleeve. So we're going up into the sleeve. You can tell it's on the case mouth. So the case mouth and the bullet are aligned in the sleeve. And now we're going to go up and encounter the ram, which is the center part that holds the bullet. We're going to push it a little bit. So what ends up happening is the bullet is seated. And you didn't slam it up there to spray the powder on the back of the bullet. So you didn't lose any powder at all doing it this way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There's no powder spillage in that die, and I could tell. And that's what you want. So when you bring her up there, you want to go slow. You want the bullet to seat. See how straight that is? It wasn't that way when I put it there. But because the sleeve aligns the bullet to the shell and then encounters the ram, it pushes the bullet into the shell. So I wanted to make that seal first so that there's no chance of the powder like splashing out past the bullet when it does this. Ta-da! All right, so what we got here is we have a seated bullet, and it's seated as straight as possible. And it's also crimped. When you do a lot of this stuff, you don't want to do your crimping in a separate process, because what happens is when the bullet seats, it's pushing against the diameter, inside diameter of the shell. And then if you were to put a separate crimp on there in a separate stage, and then you put a crimp on there like that, what happens is the way that the bullet base seats inside the shell comes loose, because the crimp puts tension on the case neck in such a way where it lifts that base seating in the cartridge. So you don't want to do that. You want to do it like you want to seat it and crimp it together homogeneously in one big, one big movement of the press arm. And there you have it. One movement does two different things. We didn't spill any powder. And that's how you do it. You want to mate the base of the bullet to the shell before you slam it home so you don't waste any powder, so you don't end up getting a squib. Squibs are dangerous. When you shoot them, they don't make it out the barrel. So when you shoot them again, the gun blows up. That's not what you want. You could get that with factory ammunition, but you get it an awful lot with hand-loaded ammunition where people reload. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will catch you on the next video, and tell me what you think. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.